It's Natalie chatting with Natalie Jean Nat. Yes, I am Natalie. And today we're going to be meeting with Natasha Jane Julian, a fantastic, phenomenal artist, alt pop artist that's out there. I can't wait for you to meet her. It's going to be fantastic. But first, let me give you a little something about Natasha. Hailing from mountains in Southern California, this small town turned big city girl Natasha Jane Julian spent most of her childhood pursuing creative expression in any form, starting with dance at an early age, then taking part in musical theater, production in school, to then studying acting for TV and film in LA before devoting herself full-time to music and later on learning piano to help with songwriting. She grew up listening to a wide array of music from the pop divas Mariah and Whitney to the Beatles and Linda Ronstadt and later the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Sublime and Coldplay in high school. She now takes inspiration from confessional art rock, trip hop, and film soundtracks. The California native and international touring artist Natasha Jane Julian lives to create songs where moody yet melodic meet. Think of Kate Bush meets Sia and you'll be halfway there. The sudden-baked dreaminess of the Golden State sound is a sound Natasha is returned back to her home state of California after spending 3 years living in Europe. But the multifaceted singer in her international travelogue has left its traces on her mixes. So I'm just going to read a little bit about that. We're going to get her to come in right now. Let me get her in right now. There you go. All right, right to join. All right, we're going to have Natasha in here right now. I just invited her in. I have this one song in my head.
Oh.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm trying to stay sane during the pandemic. How has life been with you during the pandemic?
I feel the exact same way. I feel that at first, I think it was going a lot better.
Right.
Because when it first started, I kind of came to a point of realization that, okay, it's going to be like this for a little while. So I kind of got, I guess, as comfortable as you can get. But it's been going on for a long time now.
Yeah.
And I think it's like also realizing that, okay, it's going to be a new normal. It's never really going to be like it was before, you know? And maybe we will get comfortable going out without masks and stuff like that. But there's definitely something that has changed in the world and the way that we see things and the way that we operate. So
awesome. What do you think is the first thing that you will do once the pandemic is truly over?
Definitely travel. This is the longest. Okay, so this is actually a funny story. I never even went on an airplane until I was 18.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, because I grew up really poor and my mom had 5 kids and it was just like impossible that was like not even something that I would ask to do. But since then, since I was 18, then I lived in Florida for a year and then I came back to LA and then I lived, after I came back to LA, then I went to Europe for a few years. And I actually returned to Florida for another time in between for 5 years. So I've been in South America. I lived in Quito, Ecuador for 3 months.
Wow.
I wouldn't really call it living there because I was staying with my husband's family in Ecuador, but I was living there.
Right.
So I was immersed in the culture and everything, and I got to find out what it feels like, you know, on a daily basis to live in South America. And then, of course, my Europe stint was a lot longer. That was 3 years. And so I think, you know, traveling the world now has definitely given me a much bigger perspective on things.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely crazy. And I love to travel. So that's one of the things that I miss. But I'm like, oh, I can't wait. The first thing I'm going to do is run outside naked. That's how I answer that question all the time. But I'm not really going to do that. But the one thing that I do miss is like the hugging, like hugging your family, hugging your friends and stuff like that. So I think the first thing I'm going to be like, I'm just going to, with their permission, obviously, I'm going to say, can I hug you? Because one thing I learned through this whole thing is that you don't realize how that physical connection is so important to your life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big hugger too. And I know like my daughter also takes after me because anytime she meets somebody, she's like right away a hug, and you know, I miss that too. And actually, and it's even worse because if you live in Europe or especially in France, like everyone kisses you, you know,
Right,
just to
exactly.
say hello. It's just like
kiss, 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 kiss.
now you're like,
right, no, yeah, that's the move now. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that the sad part about it is I think that once things transition back to the way they are, that people are still they're gonna have PTSD because in the back of their head, they'll still have that, okay, where's my mask? Am I really supposed to touch this person? What am I supposed to do? I don't know how to fit into society anymore. And I think that, you know, music will be a great place for people to get together and try to get back to that place where they're going to feel comfortable enough to say, okay, this is the new reality right now. We're back to the place where we're supposed to be. So have you been live streaming? How have you been keeping up your music during this pandemic season?
That's a good question. I haven't actually I just did a few live streams when I was kind of playing around in the evening time, but I didn't have an official like show date live stream. I do though have a live stream coming up with the full band.
Awesome.
So I think it's going to be the date is going to be announced very soon. So I won't say now because I think it's something, but I don't want to say the wrong date.
Right.
But we will be we are all gearing up and been rehearsing and everything for that. So that is really exciting because we were originally supposed to do the live stream in December.
Right.
We were gonna do like songs from the Angel EP, and also like a couple of Christmas songs too. So that was kind of a bummer because it got postponed, and I was really excited about that. But December was kind of messy, I would say, as far as the pandemic goes, and it got really I guess very heightened, and the numbers were like crazy out of control.
Right.
So I think that the band felt comfortable just postponing it. So that is to be announced soon. So yeah,
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So
I really love playing on stage. I mean, with the whole band. I mean, it's just everything comes to life, and you really get to put on a show.
Yeah, that's something that I miss a lot. Is like performing on stage, performing with the band. That is, oh my God, I can't wait till we get back to that. So you describe yourself as an alt pop artist. Tell our audience what that is. What's your music like?
Sorry, say that again.
So you describe yourself as an alt pop artist, right?
Yes.
Tell our audience that don't know you, describe what that is, what your music is about.
Well, I would say like alternative pop is slightly close to pop, but there's something just, you know, a little bit different. All of a sudden, when I think of pop, I think, you know, first thing that comes into my mind is Ariana Grande, and my music sounds nothing like Ariana Grande. So there you go. It feels to me sometimes that I have a little bit of an older. Maybe it's because I have, you know, such older influences that I kind of grew up listening to, like the Beatles and the Eagles and Linda Ronstadt and, you know, real soulful California rock stuff. But I also fell in love with Coldplay from like when I was in high school, and not knowingly, I think just kind of some of those influences were just intertwined in my music. And it's funny. And then my mom, like about a month ago, I was talking to her and she's all, you know, I heard this song by this band I've never heard called Coldplay. And she's like, the song Yellow. And she's like, you know, your music kind of sounds like that.
Right.
I was like, yeah, Coldplay. Mom, I love that band. And just like, she just discovered them and she's like, yeah, your music kind of sounds like that. So, and funny enough, Coldplay actually is in the alternative pop realm. So,
right. No, I love that. I love anything different. I love, you know, alternative music and pop when you put it together. I think that's an amazing thing. I think it's an amazing thing. You have a lot of fans. All I see is heart signs going up on the screen right now. So I'm going to play. Tell us about your song Angel from your EP Angel.
From my EP Angel. That is a really special project because I mean, they're all really special projects, but I wrote the Angel songs when I was living in France, and I kind of had a really big change when I went there because I was used to having I was used to being always around a lot of people, and I grew up, you know, with a big chaotic family. And for the first time in my life, I found myself alone and secluded. I lived in the countryside, and
Right.
I had a room kind of like the room I'm in now, but the kids' school hours were really long, so I pretty much dropped them off at school, and I went into my Rapunzel cave, and I wrote music all day, like every day, and there really wasn't a lot to do, so I didn't have a social life, and that's all I did. So I was actually listening to a live one day, just like we were doing now, and I heard Don Morley, which is the producer that produced the songs for Angel.
Okay.
And I heard him doing an interview with this lady, Anna, one of the British artist managers. And I got a kind of feeling from the interview, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to contact this guy because I think like I feel comfortable, and I just kind of had a feeling. I was like, maybe I think we might be able to make something cool. And that maybe that was kind of, to me to think that. But then I contacted him, and right away he got back to me, and he's like, well, send me some stuff. Let's go from there. So I sent him like a bunch of ideas that I had. And then he's like, yeah, I think that we could do something cool. And so we pretty much started with one song. And that went so well, and it worked so easy, and I loved the sound that he put together for it. And we built the rest of the EP from there. And this was the very first project that I was heavily involved with the actual sound of it.
Okay.
Because before then, I had always just sent my ideas, and the producer would just come back with the finished track.
Right.
And I mean, that was cool, but I felt way more like it was mine, and I was involved. And if I didn't like something, then we would change directions and start all over, or just switch paths on the song. So
now somebody asked the question if your music was influenced anyway by Michael Jackson, the king of pop.
Yes, to answer, I love Michael Jackson. I know I didn't mention it when I was talking about my influences, but yeah, I mean, I've never met anybody who doesn't like Michael Jackson,
right?
But
that would be weird.
How would be weird? I mean, he's just so. I mean, he's just so respectable. He's just the best. He's amazing, and that voice, yeah, nothing compares.
Nothing compares. So we're going to play Angel here. I'm going to play. Let's see. We're going to play.
One of my favorite songs from, my favorite songs from the track are Bathing in Your Garbage and Mechanical Heart as well.
All right.
Trust me, 'cause
And I love this cover. The cover, the album cover is really, I love that. Beautiful.
Thank you so much. I love that one too. That's definitely one of my favorites.
You're very photogenic. I have to say that. Beautiful.
Thank you. I was not always.
Let me tell you, I have my good days and I have my bad days. Pandemic was just ugly all around. I'll just admit, because I've been, who cares anymore? That's how I feel at this point. What do you think about women in the music industry? Do you think we have far to go as being seen in the music industry? Because it's always like, yeah, they always talk about the top male producers or engineers or the top male artists and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it has come a long way. I still think that we have a little bit of ways to go, though. And it is so inspiring, though, to see like those women producers out there, you know, especially those that are just killing it, you know.
Right.
And before, like, I never saw women producers, very few and far between.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, because there's always been, you know, female and I say guys and girl artists, I know for as long as I can remember. But it's especially those roles like a producer and, you know, the behind the scenes roles in the music industry that, you know, haven't always been equal. They've always been dominated by guys. So it's really cool to see, you know, that we're even making, you know, moves in that direction. So
amen, hallelujah. What do you think about the word indie and independent? I was having a discussion with my friend, and I've had this discussion so many times with different people, but some people think it's like such a bad word because you don't want to be associated with it. And then there are people like me. That's all I want to be called. I mean, no, my goal is not to necessarily sign with a major label. I want to stay indie because I love to do what I want to do. I want to create what I want to create. I don't want anybody to tell me what to do, because I think as artists, just like a painter, you don't go to an art museum and say, well, I wish he would have put a splash of orange or a splash of red in there. It's just like that for artists. You know, we get criticized a lot for our music, whether we're writing it in the structure that they want. Although I think people need to start understanding that music, it evolves over time, that there's not just one way to write music. So what are your thoughts on indie independent?
Gosh, you know, that's actually a really tough question, because I don't really, well, for one thing, like, what's the difference between indie and independent? Aren't they the same?
They're basically the same. Indie's just the short version, but you know, I like that, indie.
Yeah. But what I've learned, I guess, along the way is, you know, I've taken so many courses, different courses, but from songwriting courses to music business courses, and there's always people that tell you, you know, what worked for them,
right,
and what maybe is the right thing to do and the right path. And I found myself a lot of times, like, I would go and I'd go to like a retreat and I'd come home and I'd kind of beat myself up a little bit, because I'm like, hey, you know, it doesn't really, like, I'm trying to do what they're telling me to do,
right,
but it doesn't feel right.
It doesn't, that's so, right.
It doesn't feel right, you know, not all the time. You can always take, you know, advice,
right,
and try and learn, and that's always good, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing for you to do. So I found just being an independent artist, to do things my way, you know. I mean, it really, whatever it works for me is totally different than what works for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And actually, funny enough, I up until now, I've pretty much written by myself, which people tell you is not the right thing to do.
Right.
Yes, it is great to get, multiple minds on a song to take it to the next level so that it's more of a pop hit and it's more, you have bigger chances of it charting.
Right.
But at the same time, sometimes I feel like I get my best stuff that's my most raw when I'm just like home alone and I'm all depressed and I'm just like letting it out and letting it flow because I have no other judgments and nobody, um, I'm not worried about whatever people might be thinking of me or that I might be weird for writing this down.
Right.
And I just felt like, yeah, that works for me, up until recently. And I'm starting now to, I've, started writing with just actually a woman producer. She's really amazing.
Yeah.
Her name is Justine Glazer, and we just wrote a song together, and she's really amazing. And so, yeah, I'm starting to step out of my comfort zone, but it doesn't mean that I will always go in that route. I mean, sometimes I just feel like, you know what, this song is just coming from me, and I think I can get a lot out here at home. So,
yeah, everybody's writing with Justine. Everybody. I'm gonna have her on Chatting with Nat soon. Because everybody I interview, they're like, "Yeah, I'm writing with Justine." I'm like, "Okay, I've got to have her on the show." But yeah, I like to I like to do what I want, and I think my best stuff comes out when it's truly coming from my soul and not somebody trying to tell me what to do. The thing is, in the music industry, everybody's always so concerned about charting, and obviously when you chart, your music can go so far because a lot more people can actually listen and see your music. But for me, I want to be an effective player in life. I want my music to make a difference. I want it to evolve a change. I want people to say, okay, let me listen, because I do social impact type songs. And so I've rebranded myself because I love when I perform, I love the way I see it it makes other people feel. So if I can use my platform to be able, not to necessarily change people's minds, but to get them to say, okay, let me put myself in somebody else's shoes. That has always been my thing. What do you for you is the best part about being an artist?
Gosh, you did say something that I very much relate to, so I think we have a lot of comments. The fact that I'm really good too at putting myself in other people's shoes. And I've realized as I've gotten older, I thought that was normal, but there's a lot of people that can't put themselves in other people's shoes or can't imagine. And I always have the utmost respect for anyone who might be going through any hardships, because you never know like what somebody else is going through from the other side, and what might seem like not very much of a big deal to you might be like a really big deal. It might be like greatly affecting them.
That's right.
So you really have to have respect for what other people are going through. So but to answer your question, sidetrack. What is my favorite part? My favorite part is performing on stage. And maybe that's why the pandemic is been such, so hard. I feel like I said before, it was going pretty good before, but now it's been a long time, and I'm ready to perform because it's where I come alive, and I really just, it just all comes out on stage, and I come like off stage and like, so high.
No, I get it. What is one advice that you would give to somebody out there trying to get into the music industry?
Pretty much you have to do everything yourself. So, before I was trying to look for, somebody to help or to bring me to the next stage, and really all along it was inside me, and I just make the steps to get to the next level myself. If somebody else helps me, later on, that's great. But right now, I'm handling everything, and I'm doing everything myself, and it is in there. It's a lot of work, but it's in there.
You are preaching to the choir, because I tell Nikki all the time, I'm like, oh my God, I need like 2 clones. How am I going to get all this done? Because, you know, we have our sisters in music thing over here, and we're both artists. And so we're trying to balance all that stuff out. And then you got to do the whole social media thing. And then you got to say something. And then you got to do something. Then you got to sing. And people don't really understand how hard it is, especially when you're doing it by yourself. It is,
Yeah.
it's like 3 jobs. It's like 4 jobs, because you're a manager, you're the artist, and you're the booker, you're the accountant. You're doing everything. How supportive is your husband and your family with all of your music stuff?
They are super supportive. I sometimes feel bad because I'm up in my, room till like 8 o'clock, and I haven't even figured out even what we're doing for dinner. And I have 2 kids too, but they deal and they know, like, because at the same time, like during the day, my day, I would like to work a complete, 8-hour work day where I'm solely focused on my music, which I try to do, but I'm interrupted like 14 times. And, my youngest daughter can't, get on her Zoom for school, and she's having a meltdown because she can't do the math problems. And, my other daughter is, stealing the car, and you know what I mean? There's and then, that turns into like a big ordeal. So it is really hard.
Yeah, well, you're balancing an artist, and you're balancing being a parent, a mother, which is also, because I don't have kids. I have 2 kittens that are driving me crazy. So it's totally different. So, I mean, being a mother is a huge role. It's a huge role. And then trying to balance that all, I give you a lot of credit to do that, because the women out there that are parents and then trying to do this during a pandemic, it has to have been very, 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 very difficult, because you have to have your own independence at the same time. So I give you much credit for staying focused on what you need to focus on with your life and your family life. What would you tell a younger version of yourself? What advice would you have given your younger version?
Well, where do I start?
I said, don't do that, and don't date him.
The biggest thing is I've always been a perfectionist since I was young, and I think that held me back a lot.
Okay.
So I think it held me back to the point where I didn't start doing what I wanted to do because, I, wasn't perfect at it.
Right.
And I was going to wait until, I was, perfect enough to start the next thing. And, I'm not going to do that because I don't, really know how to do that.
Right.
And so it just kind of put up some blocks. But at the same time, you can't say to yourself, hey, don't do that, and then
Right.
you're going to do it. You kind of just have to live through it, and those life experiences always kind of push you out on the other end at the right time. Maybe it wasn't the right time when I was, 14 to be, a pop star.
But that's when you wanted it most.
Right.
Yeah, this huge pop star. I'm just going to do it.
But at the same time, I feel like so fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Because things did happen in the right way, even though they were the wrong way, what I originally thought. But I think it all was meant to be this way so that I can get, important messages out and not just like singing about like my booty or something like that.
I love it. What are you currently working on now? And then tell people where they can find you on the internet.
Right now I'm working on so many songs. I actually will have some news this Friday.
Awesome.
About an upcoming release. And apart from that, it's always been my goal to one day release a full-length album.
Okay.
And that's one thing that I haven't done before. Because of what people tell you, when you're an independent artist, they say, singles are the way you should go, and you don't want to release an album because nobody's going to listen to it. So me, stupid me, like listen to them. But now I'm like, no, I want to write a full album, and that's actually going to be amazing because when we come out of this pandemic and the bands and I go to tour, then we're going to have a full album.
That's right.
And some of my older songs to gig with. So it's going to be great, So don't listen to anybody. Do what you want, and if your fans love your songs, then they will love your album.
That's right. That's exactly right. Amen.
Amen.
So where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at Natasha Jane J on Instagram and Twitter, and Natasha Jane Julian on Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube. I had some terrible experience with Facebook the last 2 weeks. My Facebook account was hacked 2 weeks ago, and it's still not fixed. There was a time that I was completely locked out of my account and I couldn't even get in, and they were like spamming all these like weird videos. And I couldn't do anything about it but sit and like, oh my God, my followers are like, they're like, what is she doing? Yeah. And I've now gone in and I was able to delete their stuff, but I still can't manage the page for some reason. So I'm hoping that Facebook like hurries up and is able to help me with that. But yeah, you can follow me there, and I would love all of my Instagram followers to come to my other channels as well. I kind of have a lower following on Twitter, but I do sometimes post, different things and thoughts and stuff like that. So
yeah, Facebook, that's horrendous. I know that that's happened to a lot of my artist friends, and it took them a hot minute to get it back. And it's just sad that people have too much time on their hands to hijack people's pages where they've worked so hard on their Facebook pages, getting fans to even go to their page and stuff like that. Facebook really needs to work on that. Really is something that hits my nerve.
They do, because they don't even have like a contact number.
No, they don't.
Call and talk to.
So what happened to me during the pandemic, somebody stole $500 out of my account because I got an email saying that I had copyrighted a song, and I, dumb me, thought it was from Facebook, clicked on the thing. And a long story short, it took me weeks to get in touch with somebody at Facebook. My bank actually reimbursed me. Eventually Facebook came out, we're sorry, blah, blah, blah. And they gave me the money back. The bank took their money back and all that stuff. But now,
you're so lucky you got that back.
Yeah, but I refused to boost anything because I was using that during when you do Facebook boosting. Now I won't do it, even if it means using my PayPal account, because I'm so afraid that somebody's going to go in, because they did the same thing. They tried to take over my page and say they were managing it. Somehow Facebook fixed that, because I had to keep explaining, this is my damn page. So when I would go in to try to boost, it would say that, oh, you can't do that because somebody else is doing it. So I'm just like, okay, I'm not boosting that crap anymore. I'm just not doing it.
How is it possible that, okay, you just said something like, okay, if they go to my account, I own the page, Natasha Jane Julian.
Right.
I sent them all the documentation, my business license. I sent them everything. And then about 2 days later, they came back and said, it was like, can you send us the documentation again? So it was just like a broken record. Like nobody really was helping me before, and I was starting from square one again.
Well, that's why I messaged Facebook through every avenue, even if it wasn't something that wasn't related to what I needed. I sent it to every single contact us or whatever on Facebook, and finally somebody said, okay, we're going to help you with this situation. It's just a mess. They need to do better.
Yes.
But Natasha, thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat. I love talking to you on Blog Talk Radio. I love talking to you here. I'm going to follow your career. Hopefully we'll have you back when your other singles are out. We will continue to promote you. You are a sister in Sisters in Music.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you work on some more music, do your thing, get on social media. I hope you get your Facebook page back. But thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. That was super fun and super easy. It was like we were hanging out.
That's right. This is the fun part of things. I mean, this one you have to get dressed up. This one you have to get dressed up. Blog Talk Radio, you could sit in the nude. Nobody would know that you're doing the interview.
We'll have to have wine next time with us.
That's right. Next time we'll do wine. Let's plan that one. But thanks again. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right.